What's up, my box truck bosses? It's the business doctor, and welcome back to another episode of Box Truck Bank, where we discuss all things box truck. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing how I grew my fleet from 1 truck to 4 trucks overnight. You also see in the description that I have another video where I just explain how I went from 1 to 3 trucks. Now these are 2 separate instances. When I first started off, I lost all my trucks and got down to 1 truck. And this is the instance where I grew my fleet back to a fleet of 4. And today I'll walk you through that journey. So yes, it did happen overnight. And I have to give you a little background information so you understand how this came to pass. But one of the key things to remember is that I was able to grow my fleet because of my network. I was always trying to meet other trucking owners, owner-operators, box truck owners, anyone in the trucking industry, because I didn't know when, we could be mutually beneficial for each other. So because of my network of trucking owners, specifically box truck owners, I was able to grow my fleet. So when I'm at the shipper, when I'm talking to brokers, when I'm at a truck stop, I talk to truckers, I talk to anyone just so I can gain knowledge, and we never know where we may be able to help one another. So when you first get your DOT authority, within that first year, you'll have to do a NESA. N as in Nancy, E as in Echo, S as in Sam, A as in Adam. And this stands for the New Entrant Safety Audit. So for me, a state trooper contacted our office. I think they mailed us a letter and called us, and then we fill that out. And some brokers will ask you, do you have your NESA, because they don't want to work with companies if they haven't been through that process. So I was talking to a couple of other a box truck company, and they were discussing with me some of the issues they were having. And one of the issues that happened was their NESA was sent to an old address that they had moved from, so they never received the notice. They kept reaching out to them. I think they may have called. I'm not sure if they had the right number, but for sure we know that they sent a letter, but that was the owner's old address and they never updated it. Since they didn't update it, DOT put their authority out for 30 days. So I'm talking to the box truck owner, and this box truck owner had 3 trucks. They owned 1 truck and they leased on 2 other trucks, which were 2 other companies. So a total of 3 companies. And they were going to have to sit for 30 days. So through some discussions and negotiations, I was running my authority, and we decided to let them come lease on to me. So I had 1 truck, and then I bring another company on that has 3 other trucks. Now, when this happened and we found out, it was because that other company was going through a weigh station and got stopped with the load. So now this brings up more issues. So this happened that afternoon. By the end of the night, we came to an agreement on what they would pay, on how it would operate, and I was clear when I made this negotiation that, I have the final say-so. Please tell me what you feel. If you want to do something, let me know, but ultimately I have the final decision, and that's because everything will now fall on my company. If they get a ticket, if they're overweight, it's going to mark against my safety audit or against my safety score. So I wanted to make that clear. And I would also advise you to be careful if you start looking for people to try to lease on to you, because just because they're family or friends, and you think you know them, it may not always be a good fit. Do you have the same goals? Do y'all operate the same way? Do you have the same ethical and moral boundaries? Otherwise, this can cause issues. So just because they're your family and friends doesn't mean that you're good business partners that can work together. So this is always important. You must have a contract and agreement of when people will get paid, what's their percentage, what happens if there's a dispute, how is it resolved. And the reason why I was able to add them on so quick is because I had 1 truck, but I was already operating a system that could I could run 100 trucks with the system that I had in place. And if you operate like you have one truck, it'll be very difficult to scale and grow your business. And that's how I was when I first started with my very first box truck. I knew my truck was going from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City, and I had it on the sheet, but if I added 2 or 3 more trucks, I wouldn't be able to manage that. Don't try to remember things in your head. Get it on paper, get it in the system, get it in a spreadsheet, something that helps you track it, because then if opportunity presents itself, you may not have much time to get that system together and test it. Additionally, I'd already ran 3 trucks, so I knew how to run it. So I went overnight. I went from having 1 truck and 1 driver to 4 trucks and 8 full-time employees. And in my next video that I post later this week, it's going to explain how I broke down job responsibilities and how I managed that and kept a hold of everything and tracked everything, because you have to track invoices, payroll, and how I was able to manage that system. So when I brought them on, at first it took some time for them to get acquainted with my system, but I was clear on what I expected, and I gave them room to add input, because they are owners, even though they are leased on to my company. So if you're interested in growing your fleet and you don't want to take all the risk and responsibility, start looking for companies that are struggling, companies that may have been put out of service, because they may be willing to work with you. Now, not only are they able to get back on the road, but it makes things run a lot more efficiently. There's less work on everyone. I did less work when I had 4 trucks than when I had 1 truck, because when I had 1 truck, I had to book the hotels, I had to book the loads, I had to manage the driver, I had to do payroll. So it benefits them and it benefits you financially, but it also can make your workload less than what has been in the past. But this all comes back to, what is your goal for starting a box truck company? Are you wanting to be an owner-operator and be on the road? Or are you wanting to just run and operate the business and eventually get people in place so that it runs itself? And that was my goal. I never intended to do any loads, to be over the road. I would do loads here and there if needed. Maybe over a year, I maybe do 4 or 5 loads. So it's very far and few that I would do. But I wanted to be able to manage the company and lead the people and start developing systems to make it work. So this is an easy way. You just need to get a system in place. You cannot efficiently scale and be the most effective without a system. And this is why I advise everyone, I'm gonna probably start saying this in all of my videos, get a mentor or a consultant, someone that has experience. I do offer some coaching and consulting, but even if you don't use me, find someone that can help you, because someone that can help you can save you time and money, and prevent you from making mistakes. If I would have got a mentor, it would have saved me thousands of dollars. And I would probably say anywhere from $500 to $1,000 would be worth it, because they prevent a lot of things that I had to learn the hard way. So if you're interested in contacting me about coaching or mentor, please email me at boxtruckbank@gmail.com. Also in the description, if you're just thinking about getting into box truck, there are some links to try the DAT load board free for 30 days. I think there are some other links from some of the affiliates in there as well. But I wish my box truck bosses the best. Stay on the road and stay getting to that box truck bank.